I've done some Professor Oak challenges on the channel already, but you ain't ever seen anything like this. I'm going to be completing a randomized Pokemon Fire Red Professor Oak's challenge. We've got everything randomized: the starters, wild encounters, held items, overworld items, gift Pokemon, trainers, gym leaders, everything you can think of. And we have to catch all 386 Pokemon in Gen 3. And the goal of a Professor Oak's challenge, if you don't know, is you have to catch every available Pokemon and evolve them prior to the next gym, grinding on wild Pokemon and trainers to evolve something like level 45 or something equally as ridiculous. If you do like this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let's jump into the challenge. So there are a few things in the randomization that we need to control in this challenge. Firstly, we need to randomize the first section of the game so that it has a Pokemon with pickup, as there is no way we're going to catch 50 plus Pokemon with a limited amount of Pokeballs, especially when some of these are final evolution forms and legendaries. I mean, if I can catch a Mewtwo in the first Pokeball, then I'll give everyone who likes this video £100. I also had to force the starter to be unknown, as it didn't randomize into the game at all when I checked the encounter list to make my guide for this run, which was really bizarre. So after getting access to Pokeballs, the challenge has begun, and this is how each area works. Each area has numerous encounter slots ranging in rarity. Every Pokemon in each of these slots has been changed. So we could be getting really common Charizards, or a 1% encounter for a Magikarp. This obviously means the first section is going to be massive. This is going to be a gauntlet to complete. Think my Fire Red Omega Professor Oak challenge, but on crack. But of course, the pickup Pokemon that I roll is a rare encounter. I wanted to get it as soon as I could before I start the catching gauntlet. I would love multiple of them as well, but I doubt I'll get that lucky right away. I also picked up all the items off the ground that I could, finding numerous items to sell for good amounts to exchange for Pokeballs. So while explaining all of that, on Route 1 I caught Jumpluff, Nidoran Female, Whismur, Jigglypuff, Togepi, and our pickup Pokemon Teddiursa. I made the decision to stick in Route 1 for the time being to see if I can trigger pickup, or better still find another Teddiursa, but if I couldn't, it was still a really good place to train. And before getting my first pickup item and hitting level 10, I caught Combuskin, Raticate, and Flygon. Then I got the TM10 Defense Curl and sold it for 1500 Pokedollars, which is good for 7 more Pokeballs, a really good yield. If only we could pick up more things like that instead of berries, which sell for 10 Pokedollars, which is essentially nothing. While searching for the rare 1% Trico, I found another Teddiursa which took me about 8 balls to capture. Either funnily or annoyingly, depending on your stance, it was the same amount of Pokeballs it took me to catch Kyogre. Leaving just the Trico and Celebi on Route 1 to catch, I decided to move to Route 22 to catch some new things while training, these being Azurill, Diglett, Sneasel, Yanma, and Magnemite before running out of Pokeballs, meaning I had to pray that my pickup mons actually got something worthwhile. But all they could find were berries, meaning I would need to sell 20 berries to get 1 Pokeball. At least I was finding quite a few rare candies on the way, but there's no way I'm selling those. After making a few quid from my teddies, I went into Viridian Forest to find the really rare encounter with a brilliant item. This would be Wurmple, which I need 2 of. Maybe multiple considering its evolution method. It is also a really rare holder of the EXP share, which I would love to have, but while looking for just a single Wurmple, I managed to catch everything in Viridian Forest, including Mareep, Raichu, Numel, Meganium, Gligar, Magneton, Marwile, Exeggutor, and Totodile. Eventually I did find the Wurmple, but as stated I need 2 of them, during this time evolving Nidoran Female into Nidorina. But then I realised if the next Wurmple I catch evolves into the same Pokemon as the previous one, I'd have another 10 years to find a new one, and that made me want to explode internally and externally. I finally got a second Wurmple with no EXP share and went to Route 1 to train them, getting 2 additional pickup teddies on the way. Evolved the first Wurmple into a Silcoon, and here's my reaction to the second one. Level 7? Yeah, alright, let's see what we get. Alright, so we just got a Silcoon. So I'll take this is the other one. Oh, you're kidding me.
Alright, I'm gonna find another Wurmple. Damn it.
Luckily I managed to get a third Wurmple really quickly and evolved it into Cascoon, making our total to 29 caught. Heading back to Route 1 to find that elusive Trico and get that Celebi, running around with Azurill and Togepi in my party to get their friendship level up, and while grinding, I'm getting some items too. I caught Celebi in only about 5 Pokeballs, but it was really annoying with Recover, Leech Seed and Heal Bell, and it took absolutely forever, but I finally found that darn Trico and have cleared out another section. Now off to Route 22 where I need to finish off catching Magmar, Slowbro, Tailo, Growlithe and Heracross. And our last area for this section is Route 2, meaning I catch Tentacruel, Claydol, Rapidash, Dusclops, Vibrava, Delibird, Glalie, Magikarp, Xatu, Kakuna, Ledybur, and finally Starmie. And after all of that, our total is 48 Pokemon, catching every Pokemon in this section in the wild. But much like Darwin's studies, it's evolution time, and we've got quite a few to get through. The best place I had to grind was Route 2 due to being their mostly fully evolved Pokemon. Grinding there while catching what I needed was good, mainly getting around 80 to 110 EXP per Pokemon, which means this is going to be the best spot for grinding. But it's still such a slog in these early areas. If Wurmple wasn't such a pain in the backside to find, then I could have gotten EXP share to make things a bit easier on myself. The friendship evolutions took me a lot longer than I would have liked, even though I was walking with them the entire time while grinding, meaning I lost out on 2 potential pickup item rolls with my pickup squad. But using PP ups counted as giving them vitamins which made them happier, soon evolving Azurill into Marill, then to Azumarill, and Togepi into Togetic. Everything else was just grinding levels, nothing too convoluted here, apart from the hoarding of rare candies for some later evolutions. The best revelation I found when recording this section is setting my fast forward speed higher, which means I can do more. Who knew that increasing the speed up speed meant it goes faster? Not my dumb ass. Maybe this explains my terrible upload schedule and why I haven't done a Professor Oak challenge in over 3 years. I've done really well with my rare candy yield, getting over 40 before spending a majority of them because I just wanted this section over with. It'd taken me far too long, with the main consumers being Exploud and the Hoenn starters. Hopefully the addition of the VS Seeker later on in the run will mean I'm less reliant on the pickup block from rare candies. Oh, and I found my first shiny as well, and it looks brilliant. I'm surprised it took so long to find a shiny, honestly. But without further ado, here are the rest of evolutions. Evolving Diglett into Dugtrio, Kakuna into Beedrill, Magikarp into Gyarados, Mareep into Flaffy, and then into Ampharos, Totodile into Croconaw, and then to Feraligatr, Ledybur into Ledian, a Teddiursa into Ursaring, Trico into Grovyle, and then into Sceptile, Combuskin into Blaziken, Silcoon into Beautifly, Cascoon into Dustox, Tailo into Swellow, Numel into Camerupt, Whismur into Loudred, and then into Exploud. And in just under 29 in-game hours, I've got the maximum number of Pokemon I can find pre-Brock, being 69, which is the funny number. Now all that's left is to battle the Operator and his Pineco, which is quite fitting seeing as Brock has a Forretress in the anime, and a Groudon. Is there any justification for this? Not that I can think of. After getting the badge, we can access the next section of the challenge, which is even larger than this one, believe it or not. Yeah, this is going to be a long video and very taxing on my narrating lungs. Please leave a like, follow me on Twitter and subscribe and all that. With section 2 being a lot larger than section 1, this is going to be a wild ride. So immediately, let's start in Route 3 where I can catch Lovedisk, Poliwhirl, Trapinch, Jirachi, Lantern, Spinarak, Ninjask, Mudkip, Ludicolo, and Scizor, and buying a bouquet of Sunflora from the Magikarp man. Thanks to held items being random, now I need to catch numerous Ninjas to get 2 Leaf Stones which I'll need for this section. And while Jirachi are also holding rare candies, but unless I can get something that learns Thief, I'll need to catch them, which obviously for Jirachi isn't gonna happen. I'd have to go all the way through Mount Moon to catch either a Lombre which learns Thief at level 37, or a Skitty which learns Covet at level 31, and I would just need to level it up there for Ninjask farming. I wish I didn't find Lombre first, but I did, so I just have to raise it a few more levels. It also being said already, but TMs are random, as shown by Brock giving me the TM for Follow Me, and none of them re-rolled to Thief or Covet, so this level up option is my only method of getting Thief. Well, I caught the first Ninjask and it had a Leaf Stone, so I just need to get one more Leaf Stone. So I caught one more Ninjask, and another, until eventually on the 8th one, I got my second Leaf Stone. Jirachi was also a pain to catch with Rest and Wish, and being a freaking legendary being caught with Pokeballs. What I'd give to just play Pokemon Channel again. Maybe I will one day for the channel. Channel like YouTube channel and Pokemon channel. Anyway, for this massive Mount Moon section, here we are, and let's go with floor 1 where we can catch Charmander, Pinsir, Golem, Hoppip, Scyther, Lapras, Smeargle, Dodrio, Swinub, Pikachu, and Bulbasaur. And on floor 2 we can catch Quagsire, Tropius, Ponyta, Sharpedo, Medicham, Articuno, Forretress, Curlia, Spearow, Relicanth, Houndour, and on floor 3 we can get Wartortle, Shelder, Porygon, Venomoth, Tyranitar, Sentret, Larvitar, Remoraid, Tentacool, and Voltorb. And after getting out of Mount Moon we can get into the route just before Cerulean to catch Anorith, Illumise, Minun, Bellsprout, Zubat, Shroomish, and Skitty, on the way evolving Mudkip into Marshtomp, and Charmander into Charmeleon. And now that we have hit Cerulean, we not only get access to even more of the game, battle some more trainers, but I can get an in-game trade for an Aggron, trading away our Beautifly, giving us a current total of 123 Pokemon. Taking the rival down with ease and blasting through Nugget Bridge gives us access to further routes, but what I wanted to do was make it to Vermilion to have better Pokeballs, so I made it there, only to find out that I couldn't get Great Balls yet. At least I got the VS Seeker in the old rod, meaning it's catching spree time yet again, also getting the bike for grinding soon. So let's start Route 24 where we can catch Krabby, Abra on my 6th attempt, Lairon, Wobbuffet, Hitmontop, Jinx, Porygon 2, and Swablu and Umbreon while fishing. Route 25 before we meet Bill, we catch Metapod, Wooper, Hoot Hoot, Cacturn, Pupitar, Moltres, which took me over 200 Pokeballs over numerous encounters, Ditto, Poliwag, catching Nidoran male, and Clefairy with the old rod, make my way to Vermilion, and on Route 5 I caught Makuhita, Corphish, 2 Oddish, Torkoal, Nincada, Latias, Piloswine, and a freaking shiny Wailord. In Vermilion with the old rod I caught a Primeape, and on Route 6 I caught 2 Clamperl, Poliwhirl, Apom, Paras, Duskull, and with the old rod getting Wingull and Lugia. Moving into Diglett's Cave we caught Crawdaunt, Gengar, Persian, Lileep, Regirock, and Kingdra, literally no Diglets in here. And on Route 11 I caught Bayonet, Cacnea, Suicune, Macago, Grumpig, Aeron, Houndoom, and Kabuto. And while doing this capture grind I evolved Abra into Kadabra, and Bellsprout into Weeping Bell, and then straight into Victory Bell with a Leaf Stone, and Makuhita into Hariyama, giving us a current total of 176 Pokemon in an in-game time of just over 44 hours. Dinglett's Cave was the worst area as it took forever to find Kingdra, even when doing a repel trick because Kingdra's spawn took the level 31 Dugtrio spot, and with Regirock having Explosion I had to bring in a Pokemon with the ability Damp. Luckily Poliwrath had Damp and Hypnosis too to make it a bit easier to capture, but it's still catching a legendary in a Pokeball which was horrible because I had to do it so many times, especially with that Moltres, which absolutely infuriated me. I had to battle a fair few trainers along these routes anyway, and the SSN, meaning that my evolutions were going a lot smoother than first thought, especially with the addition of the VS Seeker, since trainer battles usually give more EXP than wild battles. I also battled the rival and got the HM cut for us to use after this section. The obvious big parts of this section were getting all 3 Kanto starters and the rest of the Pokemon that evolved post level 36. Lileep especially, as it doesn't have any good attacking moves. That's what I wanted the EXP share for mainly, and we don't have a chance to get any more pickup Pokemon, so I just have to pray that these ones give me as many rare candies as I can. This slog really made me tired, and I just pumped all my rare candies into Lileep because training it wanted me to end my life. Keeping Zubat in the party while holding a Soothe-Bell that I found made evolving it into Crobat a lot easier, but it still took many levels. There wasn't even a best place to train either, as all the Pokemon trainers are randomized, but East of Vermilion had a lot of trainers in a close vicinity close to a Pokemon Center, so I just chose there for the most part. After completing all of these tasks and leveling up, we finally evolved the following: Bulbasaur into Ivysaur, and then into Venusaur, Charmeleon into Charizard, Wartortle into Blastoise, Harpip into Skiploom, Nidoran male into Nidorino, Curlier into Gardevoir, Spearow into Fearow, Sentret into Furret, Remoraid into Octillery, Voltorb into Electrode, Anorith into Armaldo, Zubat into Golbat, and then into Crobat, Shroomish to Breloom, Krabby to Kingler, Kadabra to Alakazam, Metapod into Butterfree, Hoot into Noctowl, Oddish into Gloom, and then into Vileplume with a Leaf Stone, Nincada into Shedinja with a spare slot in the party, Clamperl into Huntail, Paras into Parasect, Swablu into Altaria, Lileep into Cradily, Kabuto into Kabutops, Poliwhirl into Politoed, Spinarak into Ariados, Marshtomp into Swampert, Wingull into Pelipper, giving us a total of 207 Pokemon and an in-game time of 63 hours, 45 minutes. What a long section. And now we can battle Operator Misty, who has a Geodude and a freaking Regice, getting the TM for Sunny Day afterwards. Sunny Day is not really going to be helpful for your Regice. Now we have the badge, we can use Cut Outside of Battle and open up basically the entire region. For starting off this section, which is even longer than the other ones, I have got Skitty to level 31 to learn Covet so that I can steal items in a very nearby section. My goal is also to first open the region up as much as I can, but starting the section just after Cerulean on Route 9, let's make a few captures. Catching Squirtle, Caterpie, Shelgon, and Nidoking. Moving to Route 10 where I can catch Marowak, Absol, Pichu, Murkrow, Ralts, Doduo, and with the old rod I can get Slakoth and Granbull. Now let's head into Rock Tunnel, normally an annoying area to get through, but here we have the joy that we can use Covet on Wild Clefable to get Master Balls. That's right, we have an infinite Master Ball generator. This is going to be so helpful with some of the legendaries later down the line. Also on the first floor catching Chikorita, Igglybuff, and Sandshrew, finding 8 Master Balls in the process. And on the second floor, not as exciting as we find Arbok, Nuzleaf, Quillfish, Thanphy, and Masquerain. Now I am free from the tunnel, I can make my way to opening up the rest of the region, meaning opening Saffron with the Tea from Celadon, beating the Rocket Hideout and clearing out the Pokemon Tower, getting the Poker Flute, and allowing me to wake up the Snorlax, Dustox, and then make my way to Fuchsia to get the Good Rod and the Super Rod. But in the best news of the entire run, the Pokedex rewards from Oak's aids stay the same, meaning I can now get an EXP share. Thank the heavens. I can also get Ultra Balls in Fuchsia, so this is the best place ever. But coming up, you'll soon see that my joy for Fuchsia slowly turns into hatred. So during this world opening section, I caught the following: Farfetch'd and Plusle on Route 8, Poochyena and Pidgeot in the Pokemon Tower. Now I hope you're ready for a giant capture haul, and I'm going to go route by route on this. Starting on Route 17 where I caught Tyrogue, moving to Route 16, capturing Pidgeotto as the Snorlax cosplayer, Goldeen, Latios, Golduck, Delcatty while getting the Fly HM, which I won't be able to use for literal ages. On Route 7 I catch Arcanine, Slugma, Sableye, Electrike, and Wailmer. And on Route 8 I caught Elekid, Electabuzz, Sunkern, Muck, Onyx, and Salamence, which I had no idea was on this route because I missed it in the documentation, and saves me evolving Shelgon at level 50. The massive world of Pokemon Tower, and compiling all the floors into a single section of the voiceover so I don't die, I caught Dratini, Zangoose, Execute, Horsey, Natu, Tauros, Ninetales, which holds the Sunstone which we need, Typhlosion, Pineco, Nidoqueen, Bellossom, meaning I didn't need that Sunstone, Dragonair, Weedle, Cubone, Zapdos, which I used my first Master Ball on, Weezing, Girafarig, Grimer, Meowth, Kecleon, Snubbull, Geodude, Sandslash, Lotad, and Slowking. Pokemon Tower was awful due to the sheer quantity of encounters, and the fact that you can't run or use the bike. Let me just do some BMX tricks over a grave. Moving down to Route 12, I can fish up Boltoy with the Good Rod, Cloyster and Hitmonchan with the Super Rod, and in the grass catching Roselia, Smoochum, and Psyduck. On Route 13 I caught Sudowoodo, Meditite, Matang, Mr. Mime, and Haunter with the Old Rod, Tangela with the Good Rod, and Pidgey and Ho-Oh with the Super Rod. On Route 14 there was Nosepass, Linoon, Shiftry, and Lickitung. On Route 15 was Lunatone, Feebas, Zigzagoon, Raikou, and Blissey. And on Route 18 there's Ekans, Torchic, Whiscash, and Surskit, which was supposed to be my starter Pokemon, but then I realised that Unknown wasn't randomised, so I had to change the starter to Unknown. Route 19, by fishing, we get Cleffa with the Good Rod, and Seviper with the Super Rod. On Route 10, while fishing, we can get Gulpin, Machop, and Registeel, all with the Super Rod. On Route 11, we can get Staryu with the Good Rod, and Ghastly and Donphan with the Super Rod. And on Route 24 with the Good Rod, we can get Snorunt and Spoink. Moving into a few towns and cities now. In Fuchsia City while fishing we get Deoxys with the Old Rod, Snorlax with the Good Rod, and Wynaut with the Super Rod. In Celadon we get Rhyhorn with the Old Rod, and Spheal with the Super Rod. In Viridian City we get Castform with the Good Rod, which I can also steal some Moonstones off of in case I need them, and Steelix with the Super Rod. In Pallet Town with the Old Rod I got Vaporeon, and with the Good Rod I got Mankey, after having to backtrack from Fuchsia again because I forgot Mankey was here. I also took the Execute that I caught earlier and traded it for a Magby east of Vermilion, evolving Slackoff into Vigoroth, Clamperl into Gorobis with a Waterstone, and Jigglypuff into Wigglytuff with a Moonstone. That was a long section, but can you believe we're not even done yet, as the Safari Zone is up next, which is going to be the worst section ever. We have some very difficult Pokemon to capture in a set amount of balls and steps. This includes Chansey, which is a staple of the Safari Zone, and Beldum, who has the same catch rate as a freaking legendary. Starting off, however, I just went through as far as I could to get the Gold Teeth and the HM for Surf, then the captures can begin. And in Zone 4, since I'm close to the water, I caught Slowpoke with the Good Rod, and Volbeat with the Super Rod. And while I have some steps remaining on this first run, I went to Zone 3 and caught Hitmonlee and Spheal in back-to-back Pokeballs, meaning that Area 3 is cleared out. But Area 1 is where the true horrors lie. And as you can tell, Beldum doesn't like me. All I can do is a level 25 Repel trick and hope to actually get it and capture it. Magnet Pull doesn't even work in Fire Red either as an outside of battle effect. At least I caught Misdreavus while this was happening. This is the punishment for my sins, as it took me ages to capture Beldum, and just as long to actually have the Pokeball shake once. And there's still Chansey to go. While the rest of the areas were not as bad, as I fished up Jolteon with the old rod, and caught Corsola and Machoke with the good rod in Zone 2, and in Zone 4 I caught Seadra, Dunsparce, Walrein, and Chansey in a single Pokeball. My luck returns after the Beldum trouble. I even found a lucky egg in this zone on the floor, so maybe that's what helped me catch Chansey. Also catching Bagon, Chinchou, and Shuckle in unspecified methods because I forgot to add them in my initial narration. Also random with the Safari Zone, but I never knew it was supposed to have a PA system. As it could, I always thought the announcer was like Pa, like father, and it was the boss or something kicking me out. Either way, let's get on to the evolutions. And we don't have too much to evolve here, but they are at very high levels, including getting Metang to level 45 and Dragonair to level 55. I had to go around the whole region including battling gym trainers I hadn't challenged. The lucky eggs and EXP shares were definitely put to good use here. Also battling every trainer in Silphco and the rival and Giovanni. Once we finally got to the last two Pokemon, I just used rare candies, but despite adding an additional pickup mon to the team, my rare candy yield didn't really improve. But at the end of it, I evolved Feebas into Milotic, Vigoroth into Slacking, Chikorita into Bayleaf, Gulping into Swalot, Geodude into Graveler, Poochyena into Mightyena, Dragonair into Dragonite, Goldeen into Seaking, Electrite into Manectric, Rhyhorn into Rhydon, Sfeel into Celio, Machop into Machoke, and then into Machamp, Seal into Dugong, and Metang into Metagross, giving me a total of 355 Pokemon at 87 hours, 20 minutes. Now all is caught for this section, we are looking so close to completing the Pokedex, and after battling Koga and beating his fairly lackluster team, we now have access to some areas previously unknown with the ability to surf. Now we have the badge that allows us to surf, we can start to explore further and start to clear out all of the final parts of the Pokedex. Starting in Fuchsia and the Safari Zone, where we catch Flareon, Stantler, and Spinder. Moving south of Fuchsia I can catch Seedot on Route 20 with the Super Rod, and east of Fuchsia on Route 12 I can surf for Skarmory and Carvana. Continuing another journey around Kanto, god I'm sick of it here, surfing in Vermilion gets me Miltank. On Route 6 I can just find Mewtwo, just chilling in the water having a nice bath. We didn't have access to the water in Cerulean until now, but now we can surf to find Omanyte, and fish with the old rod for coughing. A completely new area is nearby in the power plant, catching Shuppet and Aerodactyl, and beating up the Zapdos, which is actually a Cloyster. Actually finding new areas of Kanto south of Pallet Town where we can catch Entei and Barboach in the grass. Cinnabar Island is the next stop, and it has a fishing encounter, which can only be found here unless I play to the post game. It's a 1% encounter for Kangaskhan. I'd rather look for it in the Safari Zone than this 1% to be honest. While looking for it, we fish up plenty of Chansey to help with leveling Omanyte, eventually catching it, and then surfing around Cinnabar akin to Missing No to capture Regice. Now I can go to the Seafoam Islands where I can catch Cyndaquil and Rayquaza, and using the Super Rod in the Rapids for a Chimecho, which I didn't know I could fish in the Rapids, it seems a bit dangerous. Our final encounters for this section, which is a lot smaller than the others, we can get the channel mascot, Venonat. Also getting Rattata and Groudon, not quite as cool. While looking for these rare encounters, I can find Clefables in Pokemon Mansion as well and steal their Master Balls, meaning we can clear out more of these final sections quicker. And that is all of the captures. We just need to evolve Cyndaquil into Quilava, and Omanyte into Omastar, and that's it. Our current total is 379, and an in-game time of 92 hours 36 minutes. Now we just have to battle Blaine and move onwards with the Pokedex, with him having a Flareon and Mewtwo, which seem very fitting due to the lore of the island. Quagsire and Nincada don't really fit the lore as well. Now we have to travel with Bill to the Sevi Islands for the first of what will feel like too many times. Going to 3 Island, and thanks to having the National Dex unlocked, we can reach the port to capture Drowsy, After beating some thugs and surfing in a forest, we can capture Mantine. Then we save Lost L from an Absol, which is actually pretty scary, I can't lie, and head back to the mainland. And that's everything in this section. 381, and now we just have to steamroll Erica to get access to strength outside of battle. Nothing special here, but she does have an Absol. Was she the mastermind behind the thugs and the kidnapping? With access to strength, we can now go back to the Sevi Islands to access the grass of Mount Ember, being able to capture Mew, and getting the Rock Smash HM from the hot springs on the way. But now we need to battle Sabrina because Rock Smash is needed for an encounter. Total of 382, and Sabrina has a Suicune, but that's about it for interesting randomization. Thankfully I don't have to go to the Sevi Islands anymore. With the ability to use Rock Smash now, we can go to Rock Tunnel and smash the few funny stones that are there to find a Vulpix hiding inside for some reason. Yep, another one Pokemon section. We are so close to complete the Pokedex, but will I need to go into the post-game to complete it? And will we do it in under 100 hours? Maybe with Surge's gym puzzle, I will probably reach that 100-hour mark because I absolutely sucked at it this time. Sweeping Lieutenant Surge and having access to a new area. To access the next section of grass for encounters I needed to get the Thunder Badge so that I could go through the Badge Gate to catch Eevee and Solrock. So if you're counting at home, we have 385 Pokemon, and just need to use Thief on a Wild Ninetales to get a Sunstone, feed it to Eevee, and we get an Espeon with the last Pokemon we need, giving us a total of 386 Pokemon with an in-game time of, I'll tell you after the Elite Four. Very happy to find all of these sub 100 hours, especially with the crazy encounter rates and item and EXP disparity. Professor Oak says we still have a lot to do in terms of the Kanto Pokedex. Are you sure? Are you mental? Okay, for the National Dex he says it's fine and congratulates us. Now we just have a few more battles to go through, starting with the final gym with Giovanni. His team was high leveled and survived a few hits, but that's probably due to using physical moves on a modest nature Dragonite. He fled the scene out of embarrassment and I stole his max ether before going to the Elite Four. Going to the league with our main Dragonite, a Metagross for bulk, and our pickup mons as a thank you for their service. We start with Lorelei's team, who was pretty easy. She didn't even want to win since her Swablu, being her last Pokemon used Perish song. Bruno did have an interesting team with a very fitting Golem, the ever annoying Kingdra, and a freaking Deoxys. I used a spare rare candy before facing Agatha, and her Spinder just edged itself too hard and finished itself off. Umbreon is a fitting Pokemon for her, and was really annoying by spamming Moonlight, and finally we get to Lance, who has a Dark-type team aside from Quagsire, which he could realistically use on his Dragon team due to Salamanders looking a bit dragon-like. I see it, I could see it fitting into his team. And here's the final battle of the game, and the rival does not mess around. He leads with a Metagross and has a Vaporeon which actually defeated our Dragonite, meaning I actually had to revive it. The rest of his team was also really tough, I can't lie, with Tangela's constant Stun Spore and Masquerain with Intimidate. But with that, I've defeated the champion and have officially completed the Pokedex of a randomized Professor Oak's challenge with an in-game time of 94 hours, 51 minutes and all 386 Pokemon captured. Here's my closing thoughts, and those first two sections dragged on for ages. They did make me wonder why I started this challenge in the first place, but I thought it would be really fun. And it was fine at the end when I was actually making lots of progress, but in the beginning it was just a slog. It was really fun to see what Pokemon appeared where and what gym leaders had on their teams. It's that randomness and intrigue that kept me going even when I was really battling it out to not finish this challenge. I've also never seen a randomized Professor Oak challenge before, so if this is the first one on YouTube, hi, that's great, I've made history. The in-game time doesn't show a true reflection, as I was also planning this video with the encounter tables long before, so I hope you did enjoy this video, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe for my pain. Also check out my other videos too. My Professor Oak challenge in Pokemon Fire Red Omega was really good, and I've also got a lot of good solo runs. I appreciate all the support you guys and girls give me. I don't know what my next video will be, but I hope you do enjoy it nonetheless. My name is Super123, and I will see you all next time.